Welcome to this production of a cycle trip from Freshwater Bay to Fremantle along the Swan River and back by way of COTTESLOE in March 2008. My friend's name is Craig, and my name is Dawn, the narrator and producer. We leave from my Peppermint Grove house on Wellington Street, 2 blocks from the Swan River. Children play in the shallows. We push on from Freshwater Bay to KEANE'S Point, just on the other side of the Freshwater Bay Yacht Club. From here, it's a ride up on the sidewalk or pathway to MEADS Fish House, along the Mosman Bay foreshore. There's the restaurant there. It's quite an upmarket one, with people anchoring their yachts at the wharf outside. There's even valet parking for those Bentleys and Rolls and Jaguars, not to mention the BMW. This lovely castle overlooks MEADS Fish House and the river. We push up a very steep hill past J. Dodd Park. There's a lot of green areas and parks along the entire trip, but this one gives a marvelous view over the Swan. You see what I mean? And here's the Freshwater Bay Yacht Club. We continue along the Swan River, admiring the beautiful view. The architectural style along the river is predominantly modern, with the odd exception of some house from the past. I admire the S-bend in the river with the central business district in the background of Perth. There are many areas along the river where you can pull off and have a barbecue or picnic. I'm intrigued by this rather unusual design. We reached the portion where we can turn off the road or footpath and get on a specially constructed cycle path along the river. It cuts through some very scenic areas. These public toilets are self-cleaning, and I believe they cost almost $1 million. Once again, there's lots of barbecue areas and gazebos overlooking the river for the picnickers. It's getting hot. The temperature is getting up to 38 degrees Celsius. A small wharf on the Swan off the cycle path. A display outlines the history of the area, including the large sugar refinery, which we passed the remains of, and the state engineering works, which has now been all removed and replaced by real estate. We reached MINUM COVE and some landscape rehabilitation work. These tea trees were planted outside the state engineering works, designed, I believe, by C.Y. O'Connor. Some of the lovely real estate which overlooks the river and which we view from our cycle path. A plaque to the state engineering works showing how they manufactured Bren gun carriers during the Second World War. There's not many of these old Federation-style houses left along the river. We reached the Stirling Highway Bridge across the Swan River, going to Fremantle. A view from the bridge looking down the river towards the harbour. From the bridge we descend by a steep cycle path down back to the Swan River. It's a lovely view along this side of the river. The Stirling Highway Bridge looks quite imposing. It's modern and quite long. Looking up the Swan River towards the west bank and admiring the yachts. Our stop is the Left Bank Cafe for a beer to alleviate our thirst. This building has a long history dating back to the 1800s. It was known as the boat builder's house, and here's the original inhabitants. The land was purchased in 1889 by Thomas and Fanny Carrot, who at the time were operating a boat building business. The builder was Thomas William Whitley. The house remained in the Carrot family until 1940. The home was then owned by the Driver family until the late 1970s, where it was sold for $104,000 to make way for the building of Riverside Road. However, strong public resistance led to the heritage listing and the preservation of this house. Well, it's time to head back towards COTTESLOE. This time we go on the old Fremantle Bridge, which is the original bridge with wooden pilings. We watch the ferry pass underneath. Leaving the Fremantle Bridge, we head into the industrial area, Fremantle Container Port, passing the famous Railway Hotel with its unsavory activities. This port is extremely busy. Now it's along the coastline of the Indian Ocean. We passed the Oyster Bar, headed to Leighton Beach. These beaches are lovely. They consist of very fine white sand that's a pleasure to be on. The water is very pure. Leighton Beach was the site of the government railway marshalling yard and a car assembly area, but all that's been dismantled and sold, and there's a major high-priced real estate set up going in. I like some of the artwork on the wooden walls that surround the construction area. a tower overlooking the beach and the construction area. A large billboard advertises real estate at Wellington Beach. We got a few $1 million. Across from the Wellington Beach is the old Dingle Flower Works. We continue along the cycle path to the COTTESLOE Reef area and the COTTESLOE Beach. This is the McCall Center for behaviorally disturbed kids, but I'm interested because it's actually the old telegraph station for the overseas telegraph line that ran from South Africa to Western Australia in 1900. The plaque to Wilhelm van Ming, 17th century early Dutch navigator who discovered a named rock nest and mapped the area. The westerly winds are strong and prevailing. I like bobtailed lizards, but I'm not so turned on by dugites and tiger snakes that are highly venomous and are found in this area. There are some lovely old buildings along the COTTESLOE coastline which have not yet met the records wall. This one is really remarkable. It's pretty well derelict and abandoned, and that looks like asbestos siding, which no one wants to handle these days. We reached COTTESLOE Beach proper. It's an outstanding West Australian beach. The famous Indiana Tea Rooms. A very slow panoramic view of the COTTESLOE Beach and Indiana Tea Rooms, done up with some special effects. Well, we reach Peppermint Grove and home, marked by COTTESLOE Central, the shopping center. I've covered almost 30 kilometers and the battery of my wheelchair is almost dead. Thanks for joining me on this trip along the cycle paths from Freshwater Bay to Fremantle and back by way of the Indian Ocean and COTTESLOE. Have a good day.